Alright, hello everybody. This is the Rowan CryptoCast. This is my third podcast that we're doing here about VeChain. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing VeChain's drug and vaccine traceability solution. So this is actually an older article. It's from August 3rd, 2008. Um, I remember reading this when it first came out, thinking how big of a deal it was. But recently, it's kind of popped back up in the news for VeChain because some articles coming from Chinese government-backed like research and media outlets are essentially saying that they're developing or have developed a vaccine traceability system, and people are starting to believe and speculating that VeChain's involved. So I'm reading a Medium article straight from VeChain official from the VeChain Foundation, and like I said, this is from 2018, so it's a little dated, but it's still very relevant information. So at the beginning, it just says, China's facing a tragic vaccine scandal where it was recently discovered that Chinese vaccine manufacturers provided hundreds of thousands of faulty and falsely documented vaccines to Chinese school children. The scandal has incited widespread fury both in China and abroad, prompting the country's President Xi Jinping to describe the incidents as vile and shocking. So this this is a pretty big scandal in China. I remember when this was breaking news not too long ago. I mean, it's been a consistent problem for China, but there are a couple times where a lot of people are sick and dying, and I remember reading it about the news prior to really even knowing about cryptocurrency, blockchain, and the powers of it, etc. Specifically VeChain, I didn't know anything about VeChain. Um, so when I saw that VeChain was coming up with a drug and vaccine traceability solution for this specifically, I thought, wow, they're really ahead of the game. They're really thinking forward. They're trying to change. They're trying to change the world for the better, basically. So, in the article, it says China's Food and Drug Administration has launched an investigation into vaccine manufacturer Changsheng Biotechnology, revoking its license for human rabies vaccines and beginning a recall of all unused vaccines produced by the company. So that was the main culprit, was Changsheng. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. I apologize. But they're the main problem. They found and they basically said that all vaccines that were not used by this company they're revoking. So basically, that company's gone now. Considering this was from 2018, they're beat now. I know a lot of officials have been arrested and thrown in jail in China, and a lot are still being investigated. I'm pretty sure. Um, so they say many of the defective vaccines were already on the market and being given to Chinese children as part of the mandatory national vaccination program. A number have now been recalled, but there's no information at this stage as how they could affect the health of those children who have already been injected. So, I mean, this is terrifying stuff. They had, a big business who were producing vaccines, who falsely documented these. They could have been completely different than what they were, and these were given to children. They were given to children all over the country, and a lot of which got sick and died, which is obviously terrible. And so now VeChain has a solution for them. Um, so there's a lot of more information here about the scandal itself, the complexities of the vaccine fraud. The main suspect, Pang Hongwei, a former pharmacist at a hospital in Shandong, and her 21-year-old daughter were found illegally selling 12 different kinds of vaccines, 2 kinds of immunoglobulin, and 1 kind of therapeutic product across the country. So apparently it was a massive trade ring. So they provided a bunch of information about the case. I'm not going to go ahead and read it all now because it's not, I mean, it's relevant, but not entirely relevant because we're here to talk about VeChain. So this is kind of when it starts talking about VeChain. In 2017, the Shanghai Municipal Commission of Commerce published Shanghai Municipality Product Traceability System Construction Demonstration Support Project. I assume that's just the English translation because it's a little not as long, but it's also a little rough to pronounce. But it revealed that Shanghai's success at assuring vaccine quality standard. Notably, VeChain's traceability solution was the only blockchain project selected and supported by the Shanghai government. That is a massive quote right there. And I think this is what is, bringing people to believe that VeChain is the fix. It is the product that's being used for this new traceability solution that they're going to use. Considering just today there was a new partnership announced. I believe it was with, I forget the actual company, but it's a massive tea company that are responsible for, I think, millions or even billions of sales in tea. It's like super high quality tea. People buy pounds of this stuff. And so that was one of the newer ones, and that was with the Chinese government as well. So now people are seeing, tons of connections VeChain has to the Chinese government, because when it's a bunch of state-backed programs, you're going to assume that they're going to continue to use this solution, this blockchain solution, for many other things. So people started referring back to this, saying VeChain's traceability solution was the only blockchain project selected and supported by the Shanghai government. I mean, that is a huge deal. So it also puts DNVGL, an equity owner in VeChain, provides certification services for big pharma companies and hospitals in Shanghai, such as Shanghai First Maternity and Infant Hospital, Children's Hospital of Shanghai, American Sino OBGYN Pediatric Services, Shanghai Red Leaf International Women and Children's Hospital, Shanghai Jiatong University Renji Hospital, and Shanghai Pharma. So, this whole problem was focused on, children. Children were the ones receiving these vaccinations, and, DNVGL, an equity owner of VeChain, provide certificates for, First Maternity and Infant Hospital, Hospital of Shanghai, OBGYN Pediatrics, Red Leaf International Women's and Children's Hospital. I mean, it's almost, there's too many things that are lining up for them to not be somewhat involved in this, especially after all of these other programs that they're doing with the Chinese government. So now it gives a couple DNVGL healthcare certificates, a bunch of ISO numbers. I'm not an expert on this stuff, so I'm kind of just going to skip over it because it's about DNVGL, not about VeChain. Despite them being strategic partners and DNVGL being an awesome business, these don't matter too much to me. So here it starts talking about drug and vaccine traceability solution developed by VeChain and DNVGL. So VeChain, in partnership with DNVGL, is leveraging public blockchain technology to rapidly advance drug traceability, monitoring, security, and auditing. In 2016, the State Council issued the National Informatization Plan, for the 13th five-year plan, in which blockchain technology was included. Now, 2 years later, blockchain technology is developed under the support and guidance of state-provided resource and policy. VeChain is the only approved blockchain traceability provider in Shanghai and has been tasked to achieve the China traceability requirements by 2020. This was also a very this was circulating in VeChain's subreddit, Twitter, whatever. The year 2020. By 2020, the product that China wants to put out for this vaccine traceability solution, it says 2020. People are saying, well, if VeChain was the only approved blockchain traceability provider, and they're being tasked to have it done by 2020, maybe you think there's a connection between these. It could be something else. It really could be. But I really can't see, after all of what China's been doing, Xi Jinping's speech about blockchain, how it's the future, how we're investing billions of dollars into it, we're investing education, colleges and universities, whatever. We're creating classes overnight. When Xi Jinping said that, there's big investments into this kind of stuff. And all the work they're doing with the France-China trade deal that they just made with VeChain and dead smack in the center involved. I mean, they're literally tracing meats that President Xi Jinping and President Macron ate. And I can't see any more trust in the Chinese government and the French government than a blockchain solution like VeChain. So I'm really convinced VeChain is going to be involved somehow. So they said, in VeChain's drug and vaccine traceability solution, highly sensitive IoT devices capture and record to the blockchain, VeChain Thor blockchain, all data involved in vaccine manufacture and transport, including getting vaccines from manufacturers, storage facilities, cold chain distributions, hospital, and even usage. This is exactly like their food traceability. They're very, very consistent. They're going to continue to track the entire supply chain for these products. Anything that has value, anything that's important, people are taking. It's really important that they make sure these products are good, and that's what VeChain's doing. The entire supply chain they're monitoring on the blockchain, uploading that data. So they say, while ensuring the reliability of the data source, VeChain's solution also eliminates the potential risks in the whole process and ensures that vaccine records are immutable and permanent. So here it just kind of shows a little interface that it has, making sure the temperatures are consistent using the IoT tracking devices. And then it also shows a little in-house developed temperature tracking IoT device that VeChain makes. So they say, VeChain's vaccine traceability solution will mitigate future vaccine manufacturing scandals through accurate backtracking and accountability. So this will be done through the data that was stored on the chain, and then you can see if anything happened throughout the life cycle. You can go right back to what product it was first of all, what time, when did it mess up, and you can go about fixing whatever happened in the chain. Um, Targeted recall and disposal, so this goes hand in hand. Pinpoint and recall products in question and reduce unnecessary waste of resources. So you don't have to destroy the entire package, all the resources that were involved in that certain area. You can pinpoint precise which product it was, which package it was, um, and you go along from there. Real data-based early warning and risk management to enable targeted monitoring of potentially responsible parties. So I think this is probably one of China's. I think they're really, really going to find this important, and that is they can figure out who's causing the problems very, very, very quickly. If they see that, the the temperature. Let's say the temperature is too low or too high. It doesn't matter. They can see that it was the problem with the cold storage. This person wasn't storing it properly. We can see it on the supply chain. The IoT sensors picked it up right here. It was this date. We know it where it was, so they can accurately respond to that. They can go to that business, that cold storage facility, and say, hey, what's up? Fix what you have going on here, because we can tell it's you. And they have no one to blame. They can't blame anyone because it's obvious, it's written on the blockchain, it's immutable data. This is really cool. I think this is the coolest part out of all of them. An exclusive ID for each vaccine. Based on the VID on the blockchain, or VeChain Thor blockchain, each dose of a vaccine will be labeled with a unique identifying code, and end users can scan the code, retrieving a complete history of the product. So this is exactly like what they're doing with Walmart China and what they're doing with the French Chinese imports. Excuse me. So when either, I don't know, I assume people aren't vaccinating themselves in China. I don't know how it works. Let's go ahead and say you're in a hospital getting a vaccination. These hospital workers, they can scan this product to make sure what they're about to inject this person with isn't faulty, it's real, it's authenticated on the blockchain. And this is what's going to, they say blockchain technology can prevent, if not eliminate, future vaccine scandals, and most importantly offers a means to quickly lessen the damage by identifying and correcting the source of the problems. So, VeChain is very confident that with their solution here that they can eliminate vaccine scandals, which I think this would be very hard for people to break this system. People will have to try significantly harder to create fake vaccines and get them into the supply for people to take. This is I'm 100% convinced this will be a huge fix to their problem. So the VeChain vaccine traceability solution will be shown alongside other VeChain Thor-powered solutions at the Chinese International Import Expo, one of the highest profile import/export conferences in the world. VeChain and DNVGL will participate in this event and showcase the blockchain assurance solutions developed together, such as cold chain logistics and MyStore. So since this was 2018, this was at the first Chinese International Import Expo, because just recently we had the second Chinese International Import Expo, which is when they showed the food gates program that they're doing with the French and the Chinese government. So this was at the first one, which I believe they probably did something very similar, a showcase of a food traceability solution last year as well. So we know that the food traceability solution was adopted by the Chinese government and the French government. VeChain's dead smack in the middle. They are the blockchain being used to upload all this information too. So what are the odds that last year, after Xi Jinping and the Chinese government said, "Oh wow, that's a really good idea, that whole food traceability solution, we could do something with that." Well, what if they also said, "Wow, vaccine traceability solution, we were looking for one of them by the end of 2020. It's 2018. We could develop something really, really good with these guys." And well, now we can go to this next article. This is from the National Important Products Traceability System. This is a Chinese government website. I've had it translated, so it's going to be a little off. This is Google Translate. I'm sure the Chinese to English translations aren't always accurate. And just before I say this, I'm going to hit Control F. VeChain not on the page. So this isn't confirmed, obviously. This is all speculation. But this is talking about the interpretation of the standards for vaccine traceability standards of the Food and Drug Administration. So they say, what is the Vaccine Information Tracking System? In order to implement the relevant laws on drug traceability, the State Food and Drug Administration plans to implement a drug information traceability system, which is promoted step by step according to the drug dosage form and category. According to the requirements of the National Vaccine Management Law of the People's Republic of China on the implementation of the full electronic traceability system for vaccines, vaccines as the key products should take the lead in establishing a vaccine information system. That sentence is pretty big to me. Implementation on the full electronic traceability system for vaccines. Obviously, very, very broad. You can't go ahead and say, oh, it's VeChain confirmed. You can't. But first of all, the way that they're putting this information, spelling it out, it kind of seems like they're hinting at basically the same thing that they did. They're using the same exact language that they did with food gates. So, an electronic traceability solution, they're saying drug information traceability system. It refers to vaccine retrospective participants / production enterprises, distribution units, disease prevention and control institutions, vaccination units, regulatory authorities, and other vaccine retroactive participants. This is another thing. Refers to the vaccine retrospective participants / production enterprises, distribution units, disease prevention and control institutions. I can't think of another way. Personally, I'm sure there's some great tech out there, but I personally can't think of another way that you can do all of those things without using the blockchain. I really can't. Participants / production enterprises, so knowing which companies are using what, distribution units, tracking, the companies that are actually distributing the products, disease prevention and control institutions. We literally just talked about that in the VeChain article. Controlling institutions, that's probably one of China's biggest pluses with this. Of course, disease prevention's also, huge. Probably the biggest, actually. But controlling the institutions, if they mess up, they will be able to be tracked on the blockchain. They'll know exactly what place it went wrong. And I think just this first paragraph here, the language that they use is just incredibly similar to the language that has been used in other, Chinese-backed, state government-backed VeChain solutions. So they say, why should we develop a vaccine traceability standard? Obviously, this is talking about the problems that they've had. They said traceability work has multiple traceability systems, coexistence, data sharing, coordination is difficult, and cross-regional difficulty is difficult to trace. Obviously, this translation is a little off. It requires the guidance, regulation, and restriction of unified standards. So they're kind of talking about, overseas, not everyone has the same standards. Not even the same provinces in China have the same standards. That's the problem with this. They have also businesses that are able to create fake vaccines and get away with it because there's no way that you can figure out that they're fake, So, they said in May 2018, they clarified the overall requirements for the construction of the information traceability solution. Would you look at the time? May 18. When did this come out? Let's see. August 3rd, 2018. Very interesting. The State Food and Drug Administration started the preparation of the traceability standard for drugs, including vaccines, in May 2018. And they clarified the overall requirements for the construction of information traceability solutions. So they basically said, okay, this is what we need in May 2018. August 3rd, 2018, introduces VeChain's drug and vaccine traceability solution. Very interesting timing, right? It's almost like it only took VeChain 2 months to come up with the idea, and then all they need to do is implement the tech, which obviously takes the longest. And, well, they said 2020. When did China say? 2020. Everything seems to be kind of lining up, if you know what I mean. If you're picking up the drift. So they talk about, this podcast's gone a little long. I'm really excited about this. I think this is a huge deal for VeChain. There's been a lot of crazy news recently surrounding VeChain. The social media has booming. VeChain, Twitter, Reddit, going crazy right now. It's super exciting stuff. Super exciting times. Um, so, this is a pretty decent sized article. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Um, let's check out one of these other ones before we end it. This is interesting. Uh, Drug traceability refers to the activity of tracking and reverse tracking the production, circulation, and use of drugs and obtaining traceability information of the entire life cycle of drugs through records and identification. I mean, come on, man. Obtaining traceability information of the entire life cycle. I just can't see this being anyone else but VeChain, if I'm going to be entirely honest. There's just too many connections. They're already being used by government entities. I think this one's basically in the bag at this point. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to go on Twitter and say this is confirmed, but I'm going to say it here. I really, really think that this is VeChain. This has to do with VeChain. The requirements for chasing should include at least the serial number of the drug product and may include the batch number, date of manufacture, and expiration date of the drug product according to regulatory and practical application requirements. So that's what they're talking about, corresponding traceability data. They have some really interesting things. A drug traceability code is a code consisting of a series of numbers, letters, and/or symbols, including a drug identification code segment and a production identification. I assume they're talking about QR codes there. This is very interesting, actually. The Drug Traceability Collaborative Service Platform is a bridge and hub in the drug information traceability solution. It provides access, address analysis of different drug traceability systems, filing and management of drug traceability code coding rules, and distribution of drugs and enterprise basic data. Services to assist in data sharing and business collaboration for drug traceability related information systems. I mean, data sharing, business collaboration. Obviously, this isn't going to be strictly VeChain involved. I would be very surprised if DNVGL wasn't something to do with this. Probably PricewaterhouseCoopers China. Um, and I'm sure some other Chinese businesses. I'm not going to go ahead and say that VeChain is the only one involved with this, but I would not be surprised if VeChain is involved in some way. Because, they do say a business collaboration. So I think there will be a collaboration of businesses, obviously, like they just said. And VeChain's going to be one of them. I'd be very surprised if VeChain, DNVGL, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I feel like they're all involved in some sort. But I'm very highly convinced that VeChain is the blockchain solution behind this. And I think at this point, all we can do is wait. I think 2020 is going to be a fantastic year for VeChain. I think it is the year of VeChain. We've moved up 5 or 6 market capitalization, like up the ranks. We're at like 27 or something, 26 maybe even now. We're making big strides. Social media's popping. The price action's amazing. And I just think if we keep releasing things like this, that it's going to be hard for VeChain to not keep moving. So I'm going to cut it off here. 23 minutes. This was actually a really good podcast. I like this one. I like reading about this stuff. I liked bringing up 2 different articles too and trying, this is a little speculation, so I like comparing the 2 articles, seeing what we can find out. But yeah, so that's the end of this one. Thank you guys, everyone, for coming. Obviously, this isn't financial advice. I'm not telling everyone to go out and buy VeChain. I never will. I'm just saying, this is this is something I'm really interested in. I love to talk about it. It's cool information. It's really interesting stuff. So obviously, I'm not trying to sell you guys on this. I'm not being paid by VeChain or anything. I wish I was, but I'm not. So that's about all I have for you guys. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.